before we wrap up, we also want to speak to my colleague Zinzi Kibiko, joining us from the Chiromo mortuary. Remember that the DNA testing has been ongoing of the 9 girls who unfortunately lost their lives in that fire at the Moi Girls High School. Zinzi, what can you tell us about the process so far? Have all the students been positively identified?
Like you said, we're here at Chiromo, Pala, but we are yet to receive any comments or feedback in regards to the DNA. What is currently happening is that parents, friends of families are continuing to trickle in. As you can see behind me, Red Cross arrived here about 20 minutes ago. It's a very gloomy, low-spirited atmosphere. You can hear whispers behind me as we are anxiously waiting to hear the DNA results of those 9 girls that passed away on that 4th September when the fire broke out at Moi Girls at around 2 a.m. So once we hear any the feedback from the authorities, we'll be able to know more about those DNAs, or rather more about the investigations once we hear more of those DNAs. But Betty, if you remember, on that 4th September, that Saturday morning at around 2 a.m. when the fire broke out, we saw about 9 girls, like you said, who lost their lives, and yet another 50 who were injured. And this is not the first time really in Kenya's history that we're seeing schools that are being burned. Back in 2008, then Education Minister Simon Geri had issued financing of about 150 to 350 thousand Kenyan shillings to provisional secondary schools to make sure that secondary schools have the equipment such as fire extinguishers and so forth, equipments that will help them in preparedness of any causes like this to prevent fire breakouts that we're seeing. Back in 2016, really, Betty, we saw 483 schools that were burned. Of those, 429 happened during secondary term. They were all related to arsons. And this is not the first one that we are seeing in quite a long time. And Moi Secondary School girls were just one of those schools that have succumbed to the fire arsonists that we're seeing around this, the country. But honestly, Betty, as we are waiting to hear the DNA test, you can really feel the mood of this area, Betty. It's the weather itself is quite gloomy, just like the atmosphere and the mood. Like I've told you, quite low-spirited, downhearted atmosphere. Parents continue to trickle in, friends continue to trickle in, as we're anxiously waiting to hear more of the DNA test about those 9 girls who lost their lives, Betty.
All right.